Hey, welcome back. I'm Lisa with Candles by Sincerely Ice Blue. If you're new here, don't forget to click on that subscribe button and become part of our channel. And on this channel, we talk about the business of making candles through selling candles and yes, everything, and I mean everything that comes in between. And there's a lot of in between. So in my last video, we talked about how to re-wick, what to do with your test candles when they don't come out the way you want them to after the first, second, or maybe even the third burn, depending on the size of your candle. But it's a fail in your book, and you just know, or you just feel like it might be the wick, and how to re-wick your candle versus wasting that jar and that wax and everything you started out with. And it's also a good way to determine, once you figure out the wax, if you're still not getting the hot throw, what you might need to do about that. So today, apparently with the help of little Praline here, she is my 6-month-old Shih Tzu who just had some surgery this week, so she's requiring some extra love and attention. But today what I want to talk to you about is, so you've finished your test, or you've taken it far enough and maybe you know it's not worth re-wicking, or whatever the case may be. What happens during testing is you always end up with jars and containers, and what do you do with them besides throw them away? What can you do with them? And what I'm talking about is, when you have a candle like this, where it has tunneled, and I just know this isn't even worth re-wicking, or I've burned it about 5 or 6 times, so rather than re-wick it, I'm just going to start over and make a new candle. But what do I do with this? Do I just throw it out? No. I personally am all about trying to figure out how to save money and repurpose, but I still want to get quality results from the candles that I'm making and testing. So what I want to talk to you about today is, how do you get your jars looking like this again? And even when it was something that deep, how do I clean this jar out to be able to reuse it again? Now, you may or may not get the jars like this where I could actually fill that and sell it, but at the very least, like this jar, I've got some residue and such on the side. I think I could get off with Goo Gone, but I can still use this jar again as a tester jar. I don't need to keep using brand new jars over and over and over because, again, like I said in my last video, it is costly. Between the cost of the vessels and the wax and everything that it takes to make your candles, looking for ways that you can cut and save money is key. So let's take a look at something you can do, and it only takes a couple minutes to get your jar looking like this so that you can reuse it. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is put your candle in the freezer. And I usually like to put it in at minimum overnight, but I usually put it in for a day or two. So you can see this candle just has a little bit of wax left. And all you're going to do is pop down and crack apart the wax in there. And you can see that it's just easily going to come out now. So after dumping this out, I'm going to just pry off the wick holder. And depending on what you use, now I just use the dots, and usually I have to let it thaw a little bit, and then that's going to pop right off. But if it doesn't, if I soak that in water, it'll come out. If you're using the adhesive or the hot glue, it might not come out as easily. But I can do this on candles that are low like this, or even if I have a candle that's more full, I can do the exact same thing. And all you're going to do is just take a dull knife. I usually do not use a sharp knife, just a butter knife works fine. And you're just going to keep pressing down in here the same way you did the other one until it breaks apart. Now, the fuller the jar is, the more work you're going to have to do to break it apart. Okay, so now they're both clean, washed out, and rinsed. I can reuse them for testing. One thing to keep in mind is when you have the containers like this one that are painted on, you can see on the inside, I don't know if you can see that at all, but on the inside it scratched the paint. So I wouldn't be able to use this for sale, but I can definitely use this again as a tester. So that's it, simple and easy. And make sure you set your wax aside that you dug out, because I'm going to show you what you can do with this in my next video. Okay, not so bad, right? Now listen, it's going to take you a little bit of practice to do it. And I actually happened upon it just because that's something I've always done when I've purchased candles. Is if I can reuse that jar, I'm always putting them in the freezer and popping the wax apart like that. Way to repurpose the candle containers. But it's a big question, is how do you get that wax out? Because remember, when we're talking about candle care and safety, we do recommend that they don't burn that candle all the way to the bottom. And a lot of people will do that. They will just burn it and burn it and burn it and burn it because they think they have to burn all the wax away in order to be able to reuse that container. So this is a tip or trick you can put on your website, or you can talk to family and friends about, because they're going to come to you and ask you, oh my gosh, that's such a beautiful container. How do I get the wax out and reuse it? Now you have a way to tell them how, and you have a way to reuse your vessels for testing and hopefully save you some money and still help you create those quality candles. So that's what I have for you today. And if there's anything that you want me to talk about in the future, don't forget to send me a comment or check with me on Instagram. Let me know. I'll do what I can to do some research and get back to you and answer your questions. And I do have one more tip that I'm going to be coming in with a video on what to do with your leftover wax. So my first video was talking about re-wicking in our series here on cost savings. This video is how to reuse the jars, but now that I've popped that wax out of here, what can I do with it? Do I just have to throw it out? I can't obviously reuse it and resell it or re-burn it and retest it at this point, because now that I've frozen it, I have obviously changed the integrity of the wax. So what do I do? Tune in for my next video, and I'm going to give you an idea on something that you can actually do that your customers will love. And yes, I'm talking about a way for you to reuse that wax and sell it. But it's not a candle. So don't forget to tune in. And like I always say, make sure to live your life out loud, and I will see you in our next video. Bye for now.